Good afternoon. My name is Guadalupe Salinas, and I will be presenting the effect of emotional abuse from traditional Mexican relationships and marriages on those who choose to stay. Mexican culture is centered around patriarchal family dynamic roles that often contribute to displacement and disbalance of marriage success and tend to normalize negative behavior, interaction, and function within marriages and relationships, such as alcohol abuse, physical, psychological, verbal, or emotional violence, moral/spiritual abuse, and adultery. Often the women within these dynamics who deal with the negative effects of such abuse experience trauma responses and submission that is carried throughout generations. The importance of identifying this behavior and how it is perpetuated to extend from root to present day family members and community culture is the key to understanding and changing how this particular ethnic group is proven to align with the stereotypical perspectives placed by society and others outside of the community. By comparing those perspectives with actual personal accounts and experience, we can identify whether the decision of these women has contributed to this ongoing normalization of negative treatment within Mexican marriages. It is argued that this is a result of no support from their own communities or families and lack of power due to patriarchal law. The mission is to explain why these Mexican women stay in their abusive marriages despite all these factors. There are 5 participants who have been categorized based on what their account and experience was largely focused on. They have chosen to remain anonymous based on the topics of discussion within the base questions they were asked to answer and have been assigned a unique pseudonym, A, B, C, D, E, and mine is GS. Each conversation piece was recorded in Spanish, but translated for the sake of audience majority. My findings reveal that there is a central theme within all 5 participants, which is the mutual awareness of each abusive form within their relationship, but only one participant was fully in denial of the negative effect of her situation. Each participant had a distinct correlation to a particular form of abuse, but in the end, each participant experienced one form of abuse at the least. Each reported that having more positive role models and more discussion about communication and equality within their marriages would have made a difference on their own. 4 out of 5 participants did not have a full understanding of the other forms of abuse besides physical and sexual, and were surprised to learn that they were part of and have normalized what would be considered an abusive marriage/relationship in other cultures. The study was conducted in a neutral community area where the participants would be taken out of their normal environments. The following questions were asked to all 5 participants. Each participant had a distinct reaction to each one as vivid memories began to emerge. Participant A experienced verbal abuse. This participant was subject to verbal violence that is often deployed before physical abuse. Because threats and verbal abuse do not produce the desired result of ending a conflict, and/or verbal aggression may disinhibit physical aggression, according to Ray and Gold in 1996. He might use the fact that he doesn't actually hit her as justification for the verbal aggression. Participant B experienced physical and sexual abuse. In this manner, marriage never reaches a point of not only concrete acceptance of one's marital duties, but that includes emotional satisfaction and an enlightened sense of fairness, according to Peñac and Vallejo in 2003. Participant C experienced abuse in the form of adultery. In traditional settings, the boy carries her off, often to begin married life in the corner of the room he shares with his parents and siblings. Whether or not they ever go through a formal wedding ceremony, the couple is henceforth regarded as married, according to Levine, Correa, and Tapia Uribe in 1986. So this makes it easy for the perpetuator to not experience true consequences, especially from the court or law. While participant D experienced psychological abuse. This dynamic exemplifies the systematic use of severe forms of violence and nonviolent coercive control meant to subordinate, isolate, and increase women's emotional and financial dependence on their male partners, which was taken from Hamley and Sugarman in 1999 and quoted by Kalkian in 2004. And finally, participant E experienced moral and spiritual abuse. The fewer the resources a woman had, the less likely she was to leave the abusive relationship. And this is talking about earlier times in Mexican culture. And this was cited by Strube and Barber in 1984. So speaking to these women and hearing their experiences has proven that the dynamics that were observed within my own immediate and non-immediate families are a result of generational and ethnographic and cultural normative behavior that has been perpetuated and accepted through generations. Understanding the root of these patriarchal family dynamic roles within Mexican marriages that would otherwise be considered taboo in other cultures can aid in creating future marriages and family dynamics that do not fit the stereotypical perspectives that society and others have placed on this culture. The decision to stay for these women were different in their own respect, but in the end, they each pointed to the factual perspectives that were each shared, or that each were sharing by living and accepting abuse in their own lives. Thank you.